part 1 of our 4-part series on refurbishing your very own whiskey or wine barrel. In this video, we're going to talk about cleaning the hoops or metal bands of your whiskey or wine barrel. This process is slightly different for the wine barrels compared to the whiskey barrels. The wine barrel hoops are galvanized with a silver plating to protect against rust. Over time, even the galvanized hoops can get some rust, some stains, and other marks that we may want to remove as part of the refurbishing process. Also, some wineries will put labels on the hoops to identify the barrel. To remove any labels and stickers, we use a utility scraper. Any residue can be removed with some rubbing alcohol or an adhesive remover. After any labels are removed, we then take a 440 grit sandpaper to each of the wine barrel hoops to clean them up. While a lower grit sandpaper, such as 120, 150, or even 220, will remove stains and marks quicker, those lower grit sandpaper will leave visible scratches on the surface. So a 440 grit sandpaper or something finer than that is what we would recommend. To get an increasingly shiny hoop, you can continue to move up to a finer grit sandpaper and ultimately buff and polish the hoops with a buffing wheel if you so desire. Next, we'll talk about the whiskey barrel hoops. Now, the whiskey barrel hoops are not plated, they're just raw steel. So the raw steel naturally rusts over time. The amount of rust on the whiskey barrel hoops can vary. Sometimes it's heavy, sometimes it's light. The amount of rust on the whiskey barrel hoops depends on the environment, humidity, where the barrel was positioned in the barrel house, and any potential leaking from barrels above. If there is any heavy rust on your whiskey barrel hoops, start with scraping it off. You can use either a chisel or a paint scraper to do the job. Make sure you use a mask and eye protection for this step. For any lighter rust, and after scraping, we use some steel wool for the whiskey barrel hoops. We like to retain the rustic character and appeal of the whiskey barrels. Therefore, when we clean up the hoops, we are not trying to get down to the base metal. Instead, we are cleaning the hoops to smooth out any of the raised rust and give a more consistent look and appearance around the entire barrel. If you plan to stain, oil, or seal your barrel, leaving some of the rust on the surface of the whiskey barrel hoops will allow the stain or sealers to darken the hoops, which looks really sharp. Sometimes customers ask us whether or not they need to paint the hoops of their barrel. This is not necessary if you follow the steps we described. However, if you would like a solid painted finish to the barrel hoops or wish to change the color, for example to black, then spray painting may be a good option for you. If you choose to paint the hoops of the barrel, you'll want to do this after sanding the barrel, which we cover in the next video. Before painting, use a damp cloth to remove any surface dirt or dust. If you decide you want to paint the barrel hoops, you have two options. One, leave all of the barrel hoops on and tape off each of the barrel hoops to prevent overspray. Option 2 would be to remove the interior barrel hoops so that you only have to tape off the top and bottom hoops. We have a link in the description for our how-to video on removing barrel hoops. Use painter's tape and old newspaper to tape off any of the barrel wood that has been left exposed. Make sure you also cover the top to avoid overspray. Next, use spray paint to apply thin layers of paint to the hoops. Make sure the paint you use is compatible with bonding to metal. For any hoops you remove, you can paint them over a scrap piece of cardboard as shown. And that's it for cleaning, prepping, and maybe painting the barrel hoops if you decide to do so. Up next, we're going to talk about sanding the barrel. Thanks for watching.